Hello everybody and welcome into Last Call, a much different setup for the show today. I'm Nathaniel Finch. That is Jace Hodge. That's our new video wall. How about this guy? 9 screens, all put together. It's where we're going to start doing a lot of our shows here out of UINDYTV. But for today, a loaded show. Just wrapped up March, means we've got a ton of basketball to talk about. I mean, Jace, come on. There's so much going on with the men's tournament, the women's basketball tournament. We've got opening day in baseball. We've got a lot to talk about today. The Pacers season starting to come to a close. It's going to be a fun show.
Sure is.
Let's start here. Let's get started with some basketball. Let's take a look. We had the Final Four over the weekend, NRG Stadium down in Houston. It did not disappoint, especially this first game, San Diego State and Florida Atlantic. It was a fantastic game. Did not disappoint, like we said.
Did not, and it was the first ever Final Four appearance for both teams, in which FAU was leading most of the game, but San Diego State was able to come back there. Phenomenal game to begin the Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, how about this? Back and forth most of the game, then we get to the end, and it got even better. We'll show you that in a bit. But San Diego State wins by a point, 72-71. It was an impressive one. First ever Final Four appearance for both of these teams, and they both look like they were one seeds. Jason, they looked like they knew what they were doing.
And FAU was underrated all season long, had the most wins in all of Division I with 34 of them. They should have been higher than the 9 seed coming into the tournament, and they proved to the whole world how good they really were.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. Florida Atlantic leading for a good chunk of this second half. It was one of those games, man, where, you know, they call it March Madness for a reason. And some great performances here. The Aztecs, though, they just pulled away at the end.
Yeah, very impressive comeback by the Aztecs. They looked down and out there for a second. FAU held the lead the entire second half until that buzzer beater, which we're going to see coming up here by Lamont Butler. But a phenomenal game, classic March Madness basketball.
Yeah, how about Matt Bradley for the Aztecs? 21 points, 6 boards, had a couple assists as well. For the Owls, though, plenty of fight from them. Elijah Martin, he had 26 points and 7 rebounds. But, I mean, look at this. Towards the end of the game, crunch time, San Diego State's down like they were, like you said, most of this half. And it was just a battle. Look at that. Beautiful layup.
Beautiful layup right there by FAU. But San Diego State was able to come back. Lamont Butler, we're getting ready to see here the buzzer beater. The 5th ever Final Four buzzer beater in the first since 2021 when Suggs hit one against UCLA.
Oh, yeah. We all remember that one. Jalen Suggs from way downtown. This one not quite as far away, but, I mean, look at this. It's got 12 seconds left. Florida Atlantic missed the shot, and this is one of the smoothest plays you will see. Lamont Butler, right-handed dribble, puts in his left, just a beautiful shot at the horn. The Butler did it. That's Lamont Butler. I mean, come on, look at how beautiful that stroke was as the time expired, put it in, and lifted the Aztecs over. I mean, you don't need to lead the whole game, Jace. You just got to lead in that final second, and they did.
They did, but his foot was awfully close to the out-of-bounds line before making the cut back into the mid-range. But he wasn't out of bounds. It'll stand as it's called, and San Diego State's in the final. Yeah,
absolutely. An impressive second half, an impressive game here for San Diego State. We look forward to see what they can do tonight in the national championship. We had a chance to hear from the head coach for the Aztecs. How about Brian Ditcher here? Let's hear what he had to say.
Just over the top excited to be playing for the national championship. Like most of the teams in the tournament, everybody puts in hard work, but sometimes you just hit your rhythm. You find a way to win games. And that's what we've done. And we're proud of our group, proud to represent San Diego State on the biggest stage Monday night in the national championship game.
An impressive win, and pretty impressive. Pretty curious to see how the game goes tonight. Hey, we also got to hear from a couple of the players for San Diego State, including Lamont Butler. Let's hear that one.
I feel like we've been underdogs this whole tournament. That's the mentality we went into it. The mentality we went to every game, so we're going to keep that mentality and keep on proving people wrong.
UConn's a really good team. You know, we've been seeing what they've been doing throughout the tournament. The wins they've been having are really impressive, but I think we match up with them really well. You know, they're really physical. They're a big team, and, you know we just got to stick to our game plan. We're our own biggest competitors. You know, if we just play our game, I think we should come out with the win. And, you know, credit to UConn, though. They're a really good team. You know, we're definitely going to have to do some scouting and, you know, preparation for them. But we got to do what we've been doing to get to the championship game.
Real physical team. They can get it going on the outside. They have great shooters out there. On the inside, they have some big dudes down there. So it's going to be a really good game. I feel like we can do some things to slow them down. They're really good in transition and things like that. But like Matt said, we got to focus on ourselves, and we'll be prepared for them.
All right, moving on. That's the first matchup. That's the first Final Four game. How about the second one? UConn is one heck of a team. Let's take a look at these highlights from the Huskies. Boy, another great game here in Houston, but UConn putting on a masterclass of how you play basketball. And
they've been doing it all tournament long, winning every game by now, 13-plus points. UConn has been unstoppable. Adama Sanogo, how about that? How about that guy?
UConn ends up winning this one. Very impressive fashion, 72-59. But how about Sanogo? 21 points, 10 boards. He's just unstoppable. He had a great start to the first half, scored 8 quick points, kind of calmed down from there until the second half. But he's one of those guys just so hard to stop. He's so big, so physical, so dominating. He's not 7'4", but he can show plenty of physicality on the inside.
He sure can. He's going to be tough to stop in that game tonight against San Diego State. He has 3 double-doubles now in the tournament so far. All those being points and rebounds. He's just been an absolute force down in the paint for the Huskies.
Another double-double Jordan Miller here for Miami. 11 points, 10 assists. Isaiah Wong also had 15. Some fight from a few of these, Hurricane players, but, I mean, come on. UConn's just too good.
UConn is just too good, and they have yet to lose a non-conference game this season. All 8 of their losses actually came within the Big East Conference this year.
Isn't that weird, though? The Big East, the way that they played in the regular season, and they ended up coming out with plenty of great teams here in the tournament. But UConn putting on a masterclass of how you play basketball over these last few tournament games. And, I mean, a big reason why we talked about it with how Sanogo's been playing.
It just shows in March. If you get hot at the right time, you can go all the way. UConn had a bit of a rough patch there in the middle of the season, but they have been on fire recently, and here they are going to the final.
Yeah, you see them win that one 72-59. I mean, it's the one team that was left in this Final Four that had tournament experience, that's been in the national championship. Everyone else was their first time, and you could tell UConn, they knew what they were doing, and that was very impressive. Had a chance to hear from head coach Dan Hurley. Let's take a gander at that one.
Yeah, I mean, the heavy favorites haven't fared very well in this one, so I don't really, we're just going to try to, ignore that tag. I just think it helps us a lot, just what we went through in January. We know that, again, if we get away from our identity for a tick, we become very vulnerable. We obviously, with the experience and the physicality and the age and, just how well coached the San Diego State team is and the teams they've beaten to get here, we expect a much different type of game, much more of a fight.
Well, there you go. Jace, how about this? National championship tonight. It's a late one. It'll be after 9 o'clock tip-off. Not quite sure why they always do that here. Football national championship, basketball, they like keeping people up late, but it's going to be worth staying up. What do you think of this game? UConn, San Diego State, where are you leaning?
You got to think UConn's the favorite here. 7-point favorite tonight. They have been rolling through everybody in this tournament so far. You've got to think they're going to win this one.
How often, though, do you have someone as a 7-point favorite in a championship game? And it's not like this is a 1 seed. This is not Alabama, who's up here as the number 1 overall seed playing against these Aztecs. This is a 4 and a 5 seed matchup. But you're right. UConn has looked so good here over the last few games that, I mean, come on. I think they deserve to be maybe even higher point favorites. 7 points, so it's a lot. As far as gambling goes, I'd kind of want to stay away from that if I were you. And I know I'm definitely going to stay away from it. But UConn, I think I'm with you. UConn to win.
I mean, you saw the way they rolled through Gonzaga. And Gonzaga was a 3 seed, one of the best teams in the nation. They rolled through them like it was nothing. Then Miami, in control the whole game. UConn has been unstoppable right now.
I mean, Miami looked unstoppable over the last few games, especially, you being an IU fan, I'm sure that you can attest to that. But the fact that they were able to blow out Miami the way that they did, won like that, they're putting the nation on notice, and they've got to be, they're definitely the favorites or the heavy favorites. There's a decent chance they cover that 7 points, too.
But you can't underestimate the Aztecs. They did beat the number 1 overall seed Alabama Crimson Tide in the Sweet 16. These Aztecs have something to prove.
That's kind of the argument, though, right? Is that, hey, obviously they're the 5 seed. They're the lower seed. They don't score as many points. They've got this stifling defense, though, and everyone says, hey, just look back to that Alabama game. That's all you need to see. It's been definitely, an impressive few games for the Aztecs, and, I mean, I'm thinking UConn's going to win it, probably by covering 7 points, but what if? I mean, what if the Aztecs keep it close? What if it gets down to being that buzzer beater, that one shining moment at the end?
Yeah, it definitely could have happened. These Aztecs have been very impressive in the tournament. Mountain West, not usually a good conference in the tournament, but San Diego State really carrying that conference this year. Every other team lost their first game, but the Aztecs looking to become the first team in 50 years to make the Final Four and then win it all in their first ever appearance. The last team to ever do it was the UConn Huskies.
How about that? It's an impressive one. How about we just take a step back, though, looking at March as a whole? What a crazy tournament we've had. I mean, no matter what happens tonight, it's got to go down as one of the crazier Marches that we have seen in the NCAA tournament.
I mean, look, a 16 seed won, 15 seed going to Purdue fan right there. Unfortunate one there, but they'll be back next year.
It has been a crazy one. You know, if they come back next year, it's going to be because of Zach Edey. How about this, man? The Naismith Awards announced yesterday, Player of the Year in the entire nation. I mean, he's the Wooden Award away from sweeping the entire pool, and I'd say he's the heavy favorite for that. I mean, Zach Edey, let's take a look at some of his season highlights. Zach Edey has been on a tear. You just hope that he ends up staying for another year. He obviously has the option to go to the NBA, probably going to be a second-round pick. You want him to stay.
I think he will stay. I think he has something to prove next year. The Boilermakers obviously not going out the way they wanted to in the NCAA tournament. I think Edey, he'll stay another year, and I think he'll lead Purdue pretty far next year.
I mean, everybody's going to be coming back, right? Yeah, you're going to miss Brandon Newman, who just fed him there, but you'll have a couple of guys maybe don't come back, but for the most part, you're going to have this core back. You're going to have Edey, which is all that matters, but Braden Smith's still there as a freshman. You're going to have plenty of guys here that can, run this back, and I think that after losing that game against Fairleigh Dickinson, this team's going to be hungry, and I'm sure that they can try to right some wrongs. They'll be a year older. They'll be more mature. I think Purdue's got a shot next year if Edey stays. But, I mean, how about the year he's had this year, though? I mean, it's been insane.
Yeah, 22 points, 13 rebounds, 2 blocks a game. Those are unmatched stats by any player in the nation.
Yeah, it's been that crazy. He won the Associated Press National Player of the Year, the Sporting News, United States Basketball Writers Association, the Basketball Coaches Association. We're just waiting on the Wooden Award, but I mean, you gotta imagine he's gonna get that. This has just been something from this team.
And he's just been very impressive. And next year, last time a 1 seed lost to a 16 seed, that team then went on to win it the next year. So, just saying, little stat out there.
Yeah, how about that? We'll see if he ends up staying or going. You really hope, not even just Purdue fans, but just basketball fans, keep this guy, keep the best player in the nation around for another year, see what he can do next year. We'll see how that goes. How about this women's national championship game? Iowa and LSU. Jace, again, we appreciate you for staying in here for the men's Final Four. Great analysis. We appreciate you. We'll hope to see you here in the next couple of weeks. But as far as this women's national championship game, let's take a look at some of these highlights. For LSU, the 3 seed, they end up winning this national championship. I mean, come on, the 3 seed LSU versus the 2 seed Iowa. An impressive start to the game, really back and forth for a while. We see Iowa's down 3, drains that one. Caitlin Clark, you know the name, pops off that screen to drain the 3. Then LSU really starts to open it up. They led by 10 in the second here. Jasmine Carson hits that 3. Carson, she came off the bench today. Look at what else she's able to do. Banks that one in at the buzzer. 22 points for her. The final shot at the half there, the bank is indeed open. LSU, a 17-point halftime lead. Iowa, though, they're not going to give up here. Caitlin Clark fights back. She hits that one from downtown. Brings it within single digits. Another 30-point game for her. End of the game, though. I mean, come on. Kateri Poole raining 3s for LSU. Mulkey can't believe it. Neither can the crowd. LSU wins this one 102-85. It's first ever national championship. Everyone thought it was going to be South Carolina to come in and, just dominate this entire tournament. The number 1 seed, reigning champs, that big streak, but it ended up being LSU here. Iowa, looks like they used all of their magic in the Final Four. What a win here for this team. They win at 102-85, and you see a little bit of gamesmanship there, a little bit of flaunting. As you can imagine, you win the national championship, you're going to be pretty confident. And it was good to see that they were able to get that one. How about we listen to what head coach Kim Mulkey had to say?
With about 1:30 to go, I couldn't hold it. Got very emotional. That's really not like me until that final buzzer goes off, but I knew we were going to hold on and win this game. And I don't know if it's the mere fact that we are doing this in my second year back home. I don't know if it was the fact that I am home. I don't know if it was looking across there at my daughter and my grandchildren. I don't know if it was looking across at LSU. I don't know what it was, but I lost it. So that should tell you what I think about it. Very, very emotional and tears of joy.
Angel Reese best player for LSU, one of the best players in the nation, had a great game. Let's hear what she had to say about this win.
Yeah, no, this wasn't about me. This is all about the supporting cast. Everybody has played a role all season, and tonight, just coming from the bench, Jazz, Poa, Samaya, they came and stepped up and played big. I mean, they didn't. For Jazz, she probably didn't want to go out as a senior, go out the wrong way, and she wanted to win. So she did whatever it took to win. And Poa played a great job coming in when Alexis was in foul trouble, and then Samaya, as a freshman, just getting big rebounds, being aggressive as well as she can. And I just think everybody played their role, and that was our goal this year, just everybody piecing it together.
What a win. You got to imagine those emotions roaring for LSU and Angel Reese. Big kudos to them. How about this, though? The Women's National Championship, it's over. LSU gets crowned the Men's National Championship. We will find our winners tonight. Can't wait for that one. Again, tune in later tonight. I'm sure going to be watching every bucket because it should be an electric game. UConn versus San Diego State. Again, congratulations to Louisiana State University for their first ever program national title. Hey, when we come back, more basketball. This time it is the Pacers. We'll hear from Rick Carlisle, some other players, see highlights from their game last night against the Cavs. That's coming up right here on Last Call.
Hey, it's Giselle here on 88.7 WICR.
88.7 The Diamond, the only jazz and classical station in Indianapolis, completely led by the students of the University of Indianapolis. Listen to us on iHeartRadio, TuneIn app, FM radio, HD radios, or even on our website at wicronline.org, a different kind of public radio.
The Pacers and the Cavs duking it out last night. Unfortunately for the Pacers, officially eliminated from the playoffs. Things not looking too good. Kind of shut it down with their star players over the back half, over these last few weeks, that is. Let's take a look at some of these highlights from last night. Travel into Cleveland. You see them playing here at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. I mean, things started really well for the Pacers. One of their top players, Benedict Mathurin, you see him. He's still playing coast to coast for the layup to tie that game early. And then this next one, second quarter, Pacers up 4. How about 7? Jalen Smith, he fires and hits from downtown, starting to grow that lead. Now it's a tie game in the second. Smith, I mean, look at this. Again, a nice layup coming up strong, and the Pacers, they'll take the locker room lead. Now to the fourth, tied again. Darius Garland, he'll step back. Look at this triple to take the lead. Really opens up the floodgates for the Cavs. Late fourth, game almost out of reach. Evan Mobley climbed the ladder and slammed that down, big man. Cavs win at 115-105. They eliminate the Pacers from playoff contention. Not quite what you were hoping to see over this back half of the season if you're a Pacers fan. I mean, come on, they had so much potential, firing on all cylinders throughout the beginning of that season into December. I mean, that win against the Celtics late December really had people thinking these Pacers could be legit. Halliburton gets hurt. He comes back, though, and they're still firing on most of their cylinders. They're playing very well. And then it just came down to the end of the season. Weren't able to get these wins. Halliburton got hurt again, and they just started to shut down their star players for injury management. You hate to see it, but 3 first-round picks here in this upcoming draft. The Pacers, they could be something real legitimate here in the next few seasons. I mean, we looked at what Benedict Mathurin was able to do that game all season. They've been playing, some of their young guys playing very well. Nemhard started all year. He's played well. Excited to see what the future can hold here for the Pacers especially. I mean, again, 3 first-round draft picks. A couple of them, they should be pretty high. Excited to see about that. Let's hear from head coach Rick Carlisle about the loss last night in Cleveland.
First 3 quarters, I thought we really went toe-to-toe with them in a very difficult environment, really a playoff-type environment. They're, I think, a magic number of 2 coming into the game, so this game's meaningful to them. In the fourth quarter, we struggled a little bit to get good shots. They amped things up, made some plays offensively. Mitchell, made some spectacular plays. Karras hit a big 3 and made a great pass. And, things kind of got away and we ran out of timeouts, you know. So I don't know. I'm going to choose to look at this game pretty positively. And it's just, you know, the style that we're playing, you know, when we do it aggressively and selflessly, you know, we can cause some real problems for good teams.
You know, to kind of fight the way we did, and you know, just didn't have enough there at the end. But like I said, the experience the young guys are getting in an atmosphere like this, a game like this, you know, it's great.
It's always important to find the positives from, you know, some of these late season losses, especially when you get eliminated from the playoffs. And I mean, again, they were on the outside looking in already. It's why they kind of shut down their starters. It's not a surprise that they couldn't make it in this game, but, you know, kudos to coach and for the players trying to find the positives. The big positive, these young guys, like I said, I mean, you're letting a lot of these guys get this experience. Mathurin starting these last few games really is a sixth man for most of the season, but now he's able to come in, get that starting experience, and hopefully able to see what he's able to bring in the future. You got to imagine going to be in that starting lineup probably for the rest of his career, and excited to see what these rookies next year can bring to the team. But good job to the Pacers here for trying to get these young guys the experience. They still lose by 10 to the Cavs. And, I mean, the Cavaliers, fourth in the East. They got a promising season ahead of them heading into the playoffs. Hey, when we come back, don't go anywhere. We're done with basketball, but Indy 11, they had their home opener over the weekend. We'll talk about that, and then also some UIndy sports. That's all coming up right here on Last Call.
Award-winning news coverage. Brought to you by ethical journalists that care about you. We have you covered on crime, latest on sports, and the best in entertainment. This is UINDYTV News.
The world's a crazy place, and it's only getting crazier. And it seems like no one wants to talk about it. So I'm going to. That's why I created Real Talk, a roundtable discussion show where each week I bring on different guests to talk about hot-button issues in society. Join me every week to get your questions answered, Wednesdays at 1 p.m.
Welcome back to Last Call. Nathaniel Finch. How about this Indy 11 team? A new-look team. Last year kind of struggled at times. Ended up falling a couple games shy of the playoffs, but this team this year could be doing something special. They had their home opener here at Carroll Stadium, IUPUI, down the road from here, and possessed the ball for a good chunk of that second half. Really played well at times. They ended up drawing. The score stayed the same the entire game. No one scored a single goal, but there were a lot of positives come out of this game. Obviously, you get points, which is very important when you look at the playoff standings here. All three of their games this year, they've gotten points from. Their first game, a very tough place to play. How about Tampa Bay? They drew with the Rowdies. 1-1 was that score. Get the win against Detroit City on the road. Again, another tough place to play. Win that one 1-0. And then it was just this game here against the Las Vegas Lights. Under the lights at Carroll Stadium. I mean, these guys battled. You get your points for the playoff standings. Obviously couldn't score at all, but there's always positives to take away from a draw. This is a team for the Indy 11. I mean, they got a new captain, the all-time leading scorer in goals, Sebastian Guinzotti from Tampa Bay. He's number one in their program in goal scoring. He's now the captain for Indy 11. He's been playing really well. Some other guys here, Cam Lindley, used to be on the team a couple years ago, kind of bounced around the last 2 years, and now he's back home, starting a family up in Carmel from the area, and he's been a good player for the squad, and only excited to see what could come from him moving forward. And then finally, the guy who scored up in Detroit a weekend ago, Brian Rebellion, he's been a good player for this team. I mean, there's just a lot of new players that are coming in, playing great time. A lot of returners that are coming in, able to supplement that starting lineup. So it's an exciting team here for the 11. Obviously, all the excitement in the world. This is a team that's going to be building a new stadium, a new whole complex over by Lucas Oil Stadium, Victory Field, that whole kind of area. It's going to be an entire new setup for the Indy 11. And I think this year it's a good step towards drawing interest, getting more fans to pay attention to these games, getting more people watching, more fans for the Indy 11. So when they open up this stadium here in a couple years, it's going to be electric. But this year, though, this team, again, last year fell 2 games shy of the playoffs. This is a much better team, much improved, a lot more buzz, a lot more excitement. Couldn't get it done. Obviously, they still drew, though, could not get the win against Las Vegas, but a lot of excitement to see what the 11 can accomplish this upcoming season. Hey, don't go anywhere. When we come back, our final segment, UIndy Sports. Jace is going to return, and we're going to talk about some baseball and softball and others. That's coming up next here on Last Call.
The world's a crazy place, and it's only getting crazier. And it seems like no one wants to talk about it. So I'm going to. That's why I created Real Talk, a roundtable discussion show where each week I bring on different guests to talk about hot-button issues in society. Join me every week to get your questions answered, Wednesdays at 1 p.m.
Welcome back to Last Call. Nathaniel Finch now here with Jace Hodge. Jace, you and I called a softball game over the weekend. They had a doubleheader here on campus at Baumgardner Field. We broadcasted that one for UINDYTV, our first ever softball game that UINDYTV had broadcasted. Had the whole camera crew out there. Of course, it was freezing. The wind was killing us. It was very cold, but it was a fun experience out there calling these games. And this team, they mean business. This is a very good Greyhound squad this year.
6th in the nation right now, 4-0 this weekend, their first 4 home games, and 4 convincing wins at that.
You hear that it's their first 4 home games. You think that, hey, this is a season that just started. No, they just didn't get to play their home games for a while. How about this season for them? This year, 33-3. They've won 17 straight games. This is a team that can make a lot of damage once you get to that postseason, and I think that they will. It's a team that fell short of expectations last year, hosted regionals, was not able to get past that 3rd round of the regionals, but it's a team that has been deep in the playoffs before. I think this is a great year for this squad.
Yeah, and those 2 games against Truman State, 2 mercy rule games, one of them being 18-3 in 5 innings. Just no mercy whatsoever for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I mean, no mercy, like you said. It was an impressive showing for the Bats. Talked to Coach pregame. She says, hey, we just hit our best 2 straight practices in the bullpen, the best that we have ever in the batting cage. That is the best 2 practices we've had hitting last week. They definitely showed that into the game. Wind swirling around makes it tough to hit some home runs. Emily O'Connor had a couple herself, 1 in each game, and they were getting the bats going throughout most of that contest. It was definitely an impressive game for the offense, but the defense, they did their thing as well. Held Truman State, pretty low scoring affair on their side of things, and it was one of those games, man. This is a real team.
And then the second game was a bit closer there for a little bit, but UIndy finally pulled away there. It was 4-3 Truman State early on, but UIndy closed it out 12-4 mercy ruled.
How about some UIndy baseball? They went to UMSL over the weekend. That's in Missouri, St. Louis. This is a team, they ended up finding a bit of success out in St. Louis, split the series. They played 4 games out there, won 2 of them, one of them pretty high scoring. This is a squad that started really hot, kind of slowed down since then, but I think this is a good weekend for them to kind of get their legs back under them.
Yeah, 14-11 right now, 2-10 in the conference. Definitely have some things they can improve upon here, but 2 wins against UMSL, nothing, it's pretty good there. Get 2 wins under your belt in conference play, move forward, get some more.
They'll be at home this upcoming weekend. I encourage you to go check out that one. As far as UIndy softball, they've got a couple games on Thursday at McKendree, 2 on Friday against Maryville as well. So be sure to check out these teams, see what they can accomplish. Well, Jace, I appreciate you joining me on the show. A very exciting one here with the new video wall. It was a fun show. We had a lot to talk about with this March Madness.
Great show. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, we'll look forward to having Caden back on next week. Wasn't able to join us today, but it'll be exciting. Plenty to talk about next week. Same time, same place. That's Last Call on Monday afternoons.